But you can have a worker-owned company that where the employees are exploited because they're never directors and they never learned how to become directors. So sometimes you can have a company that was a regular C corp or what have you, and this is this happens in Europe or Latin America, and the the it becomes worker owned, and then everyone has, I don't know, some percentage ownership, but they never learned how to self direct. So they kind of just end up electing a hierarchy again, right? And then they kind of just push that off. Whereas if you're direction, you are the one that's deciding where the surplus goes. So what is the surplus? If you make a widget for $6, you sell it for $10, the surplus is at $4. When you get exploited, that means that you don't get a say in where that $4 goes, right? Someone kind of, they could by force make you not, you don't get a say, or really it's kind of like don't look behind the curtain kind of thing, like a Wizard of Oz thing. Don't try to learn how we sell these widgets. Don't try to do it. A lot of things that we talk about here all the time are classic 100-year-old discussions within talking about exploitation. So showing people, hey, this is how, like for instance, within software, with any consultancy, a principal, someone that can go out there and get work, someone will pay them. They have a couple options of ways that they can behave. They can bring somebody on and train them, show them how to become a principal, or they can bring somebody on and keep them as much as they can under the thumb, not really show them how to um, do any type of prospecting to try to talk with customers, try to claim or get work, try to build up their value because they're highly leveraged within the consultancy. So you could see different types of consultancies where people feel like they're exploited. They're not exploited as much as they are in a regular corporation, but those are two different plays, right? So uh, someone that is familiar with direction and that's an open discussion, right?
Hmm.
I mean, if you can imagine, you go into your corporation and say, you know what, I'd like to figure out how I can sell this thing that I'm building for you to other people, right? That's a good way to get fired, right? They would probably let you go or
Right.
make up a reason to let you go, right? Um, with within a consultancy, it's a weird situation because the people are the products, right? It's a service,
Hmm.
and you can make more money as a group if everyone is more valuable on the market, or there can be like an equilibrium where there's a bunch of, in quotes, smart people on the top and everyone else getting exploited on the bottom. So what you want to try to do, or what you can do if you're trying to be fair, and what we all talk about constantly about trying to build people up, is choose the former, and you're trying to build people up. What does that mean? Say all this to get back to the direction. You have to be able to. People need to know how the thing that they build that provides value, how it makes it all the way to the market. If that's a discussion within the entity, then it's very hard. Well, it's basically impossible to exploit people. The way you exploit people is to get them not to think about that $4 I said, the $6 to make it, and that $4 that gets sold, and you say, "Duh, don't worry about that." Right? So that's really what a worker-directed entity is, and that's what I'm talking about when I say a software cooperative in that paper and the other papers that I write.
That's super cool. Well, I think that needs to be a conversation that happens across the board on how we can work together to build business. It goes back to what we were chatting about last night, where everybody wants to be a chief, but they don't want to be an Indian. This model that you have, everybody is a chief and everybody is an Indian. it has their place. And so I feel like in order to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. And this model, I think, is a great way to build um, business in your area while still feeling like you're your own boss, but
Mhm.
being a part of a bigger whole.
Mhm. This is true. One thing, if you were to go back 100 years, everybody now talks about, hierarchy and I, I have a boss. I want to be my own boss or whatever. But if you were to go back 100 years, um, I want to say most people were in business for themselves, right? More agriculture. They were selling things on
Hmm.
the market, right? It wasn't you go to a factory and get on an assembly line and you don't know how to take care of all the rest of the parts of your life, you know. Now um, people are used to that, and now that we've all become used to that, the benefits have been getting taken away slowly but surely. Before you had a pension, like our parents or our parents' parents, they had a pension at a large company. And then, like, what's a pension now? Well, there were some
Right.
rules, laws changed in the 70s to where, no, you don't get a pension. You don't get to retire that way. You can put away your own money and hope that you retire, right? And then this stuff gets taken away slowly and slowly, um, and more and more. And so we're kind of, it's really through exploitation. You see, companies show extremely high profits, record profits right now, right? But then for some reason, it's always, you're letting people go, right? You're showing a $10 billion a year in profit, not revenue, but profit. And then, no, we got to let go a couple thousand people, right? So a worker owned, obviously, that's not happening because people are going to vote not to do that, right? People also, it'd be pretty hard to find a cooperative that would behave like, say, Apple and say, oh, we've got about 40,000 people here, but we're going to employ 2 million people basically in slave labor to make, these iPhones and stuff like that. People won't get together and vote to do that. It's very hard to get a lot of people together to say, I don't want to employ anyone here. I want to do it over there. Right. So it comes back to your networks, and that's who you know, it's who you work with is more natural. You've got to get a certain kind of human being together to say, you know what, we'd make some more money if we built this thing in essentially a factory with somewhere around, I don't know, 20,000 people living in the factory, right? Of their whole families. And it would be cheaper. Oh, they don't have labor laws? Yeah, that's what we like. You, you could get a board of 10 to say how to do that, and they'll call them geniuses or whatever, right? But you couldn't get 1,000 people to do that, right? It would be pretty tough, right? If it's their own, money or what have you. So that's another benefit of it.
We had some other people joining. Hey, Lori, did you not to cut you off, Watson? Did you think we were on the West Coast time for 8 o'clock? Just curious. You could just say yes or no, or did you fall off just then?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering because I was like, man, I hope we didn't. She didn't think we were West Coast time. All right, okay, we can continue because we had the booth for Puppet, so we kind of alternated here. We got Volk on the line live and direct. You have Watson there. You have Josh. I'm Tamika. That's Dion. We're women in Linux, and they're Volk. And we're
Yeah.
actually
Lori, I think, is with us.
okay.
I
One sure,
recognize her voice.
one sure, because we actually have a Lori that signed up as well too, and
Oh,
I
really?
know she's on the West Coast, so that's why I asked because I wasn't sure which Lori it was. All right. So yeah.
They got
So
very similar voices.
I never heard Lori on the phone. I met her in person, but I don't know what she sounds like on the phone. People change voices on the phone.
There she
Hey,
goes.
Lori. So we kind of
You
improvise
can't hear your
here.
audio.
Can't hear me or you can't hear Lori?
No, I heard her. Yeah,
Oh,
she's
I just
talking.
said I didn't realize I didn't have my video on. I should have known because there was no green dot staring at me. I'm practicing for the eclipse. Don't look at the light.
So we're kind of improvising here because we had Puppet. They were supposed to do their HR booth, but I think they're thinking West Coast time. So we'll see. Hopefully, we can get them on later on, and they can give us some free tickets to the Puppet conference, some donations, something, for this confusion. But whatever. And so we kind of improvised and said, okay, let's do co-ops, and I think we break for lunch at 12 and come back at 1. Correct, Dion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and if Watson wants to answer some questions, I have his time to like 1 o'clock because
Oh, before
he
book.
doesn't eat. Yeah, he doesn't do any of that. He's
He's a
just on air.
he's a
So
robot.
I have that. He's on air, so I have that option for him if he wants to. If people want to chat through lunch
All right.
to kind of find out what's going on. Like I think it's a cooperative is an awesome model,
Well,
and that'll grow great in our plaza.
yeah. Well, me and Watson have talked about this as well too. And me and Dion talk about it extensively. Like if you look around, like just in our neighborhood, on our street alone, there's 6 different men that cut grass, and they all come on the block around the same time. Like you might get 2 people or 3 people that come on the block. Now the question becomes is, why can't all those same men come together and make one
Company.
company to cut the whole area instead of having 6 different people that do your grass? I mean, of course that's about relationships and so forth and so on, but then it's also you have to stand back and look and ask like where's that conversation that's missing where you can't talk and say, hey, let's join together and build this business together. I take my stuff that I've done and you take your stuff that you've done and we collectively go start our business to cut grass. Combine crews instead of having, one-offs. You have a whole company and you guys can build together. But that's just me. That may be a little advanced for some people, but that's just how I see it.
Yeah, you'll find when a coalition could be built, and a lot of this, if you really like this subject, and studying game theory is really what you want to do when you want to talk about when is it rational to build a coalition or not, right? And when you see people that it looks like there might be some type of efficiencies if they got together or something like that, they are concerned about fairness. So what they want to do, or the first thing that really just about anybody thinks about when they say, oh, let's all get together. If they've done something like that before, they might think about maybe some experience in college where 3 people got together and they had to do some type of report or something, and one person did all the work, but the the reputation and the grade was spread to all 3, right? People don't like that. They don't like to do work and then the other people sit around, right? So you have to have some type of system of fairness that allows to handle that. And there's some simple ones that you can just do. Keep what you kill is one, where if you don't work, you don't eat, right? But there's some issues with that. But that's the most simple one that for some reason people don't think about it very often when they think about coalitions. But you're just sharing a brand. So you get some efficiencies for the people in your example. It's like, okay, this is the Atlanta grass service or Tampa grass service, right? And they could really, just from building the brand, reach more people, be able to charge more, whatever, like classic marketing
Hmm.
and signal things.
Cover more
But they're,
territory.
yeah, cover more territory and all these things, negotiate better with vendors, all kinds of things. But they're worried about that. Okay, I don't want to, well, is someone going to tell me what my paycheck's going to be? I don't want to argue over that. If I'm out there working 60 hours a week, somebody else wants to work 20, why should they get my 60 or whatever? But there's simple ways to deal with that. But then there's other ways that are more sophisticated. Again, law firms have the same issues, right? And there's law firms with thousands of people in them, and they're still partnerships. So the issues can be solved, right? And they are solved. And there's books written about how you can spread the money around, create incentives for everybody to behave, create incentives for everybody to give back, but not be free riders. It's a free rider problem. When someone else does the work and you get to take the credit, reputation, or money. So those problems have been solved, but trying to communicate that, because again, we don't know how to do self-direction as, people who went to a regular rigid school with, okay, you're told what to do every step of the way, right? You don't get any training. You don't have any financial intelligence, anything like that. People can't even describe what exploitation is. Right? It's just like, exploitation, is that stealing from someone? They really don't know what it is, because there's a reason for that. Going from that to one part of it almost sounds ideological, because it's kind of like you are relying on yourself more. You're not relying on others, you're relying on yourself more. But you learn how to be interdependent with others better. Whereas you've been taught or forced down your throat to be a rugged individualist, right? And, oh yeah, we're going to do this, work hard, and we'll be fine. Never mind what's going on behind the curtain. There are coalitions of very, smart, wealthy people that put entities together, and they say, you be a rugged individualist. Us, on the other hand, no, we're going to work together to make sure that you stay individual. What we need to do is learn how to be more interdependent, not independent, not dependent, but interdependent. So we get efficiencies. We know how to make things fair. And this is the whole, everything being decentralized movement that you see in all different parts of the social structures now. You see that within money with Bitcoin and all types of things, where people are trying to make it to where there's no central authoritarian structure, but if you don't know how to behave there, then you're in trouble, right? You can have bad coalitions form and you don't know how to do your side. So, but it's democracy. So
yeah, end up being in a cult.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, no, it's not what we want. Not why you're here.
So how long have you how long have you been in the co-op, and how long what were you doing before the co-op, or did you just come out of the womb and be like, I want to be a co-op?
Well, if the womb is the Marine Corps, then maybe came out. But no, I actually had one regular W-2 job back in 1996. And then after that, I became independent, incorporated, and started just getting my own work. And then found that, working with others is hard if you're trying to distribute the work and all this stuff. I like relying on myself. This is the same thing that all freelancers and people that are independent go through. But I always was passionate about how coalitions form, to the point to where I just started reading about fairness, fair division. I found stuff within law, I found game theory, economics, part that handles that type of thing, and just studied it. And then tried to create a structure. And then I found, there's a structure out there that's somewhat like this already. And it's easier to understand than trying to make up your own one from scratch. And you can apply all the economic savviness. When people think of cooperatives in the United States, a lot of people they don't know what it is. The people in South America know what it is. People in Europe know as well. They think of something like socialism or something like that. Yeah. It's like something to where, there's a group of people and they all behave in a weird way or whatever. But, it's just another business entity. You don't have to make everything that way. Right. So, that's really what it's about. And I saw that and I was like, okay, this is a better way to do things. So I'm passionate about the economic side of it, but most people that are into cooperatives, they're more about the social component and how it can benefit communities or what have you. So like a credit union is a cooperative, right? Everybody that's a part of the credit union gets to vote on where it goes. But the thing is, people don't know how to run a credit union. They part of it and they don't vote. They don't care, right? So communicating the direction part is important. Almost time for lunch, right?
That's on you. I know I'm gonna get something to eat. I mean, we leave this up all day until it's time to come back. It's no big deal
Yeah,
for us.
On mute.
yeah, I'll probably get
And then you have
something.
your a booth if folks want to catch up and chat with you.
Mm-hmm.
You are all set up to, and I definitely want to continue the conversation. I think this is awesome, and it'll solve a lot of um it'll solve a lot of issues. I want to know more about it. Like, and you said
Mm-hmm.
that it's called gang theory.
Yeah, fair division is the problem of how you split things up in a fair
Mhm.
way, and people have all kinds of misconceptions on what fairness is.
Mhm.
Some people think it means everything is split equally. Well, that would
Right.
be egalitarian. Everything split towards what you put in, that would be what's called being equitable. There's things that you can put in, and there's guarantees that you can put on that on how you split things apart to where you can make things fair, depending on what types of resources you're talking about. That's what fair division is the portion of game theory that handles people acting in a rational way. So if you're acting rational and you see a resource and you say, how are we going to split this up? If you do it to where it's, if you prefer things to be um, split up in such a way as you get out what you put in, that would be, okay, yeah, it's rational. If you're being altruistic, you're giving other people things. If you're being greedy, you're trying to trick everybody and take everything. But fair division that's what that's about. It can get really complicated depending on the kinds of resources that you have. But when you're just talking about money and services, it's a bit more simple.
Hmm. I think we should have a meetup about this.
Yeah, we could totally.
I think we should have a meetup about it. I do. Like an ongoing conversation, because there's always a lot of talk but no action, and I think that this conversation is an action conversation on how to do it, steps 1, 2, and 3, and I think we should be able to put that in a meetup in steps on how to get started with a co-op and make it in a way where people are not trying to be perfect. 2 or 3 folks can start it and build from there, and just commit to making it work. And as um, they grow their resources as far as being in a space, being in a building. It might just start with 3 people at one person's house, or going to a co-op space to work together. Or just setting up the structure where they're working virtually amongst each other. I'm all in.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all in. I don't know.
All
Tam
right.
went offline. I hear her chatting. I know it's you guys are an hour behind us, but we want to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that you have a chance to get something to eat and
Mm-hmm.
prepare for your next your session. It's about an hour away.
Yeah.
If you want to just do some testing, I'll tell
Mm-hmm.
just Slack Tam or she'll probably, and if you want to come in a few minutes or early just to see how that goes, she'll definitely walk you through that. She's the moderator on your talk, so she'll be spinning up the meetup for you guys, and we'll go from there. So thank you.
All right.
Again, I appreciate you guys' support and coming out, and of course filling in. It means a lot to me. So we'll see you in a few.
Yep. Take it easy.
Cool. See ya.
Yep.